Hello boys and welcome to session 2 of our second module. Sa session na ito, pag-usapan natin ang set relationships. Okay? At this point, you are expected to have already engaged the asynchronous materials. Particularly, na-download nyo dapat yung PowerPoint. Nandun lahat yon, yung mga set relationships. And napanood nyo dapat yung YouTube video about set relationships also. And you should have already answered the entry ticket. That's FA2A. Okay? For this session, let's recall those set relationships and answer some drills. Okay? Pero bago yan, pasadahan muna natin yung ating entry ticket items. Okay? Let's discuss the answers. These are the first 4, or at least 4 of the 10 items in the exit ticket. The entry ticket. Okay? Now, these questions, look at the first one here. All elements of N are also elements of W. As someone sent me an email the other day asking, Sir, parang wala namang reference. Wala namang in-specify kung sino si N at si W. If you might remember from the previous materials, yung recorded lecture, yung PowerPoint, remember how we said that there are some uppercase letters that we will reserve for specific and special sets, and 2 of those are N and W. No? So from here on in, sabi ko nga, from here on in, for assessments, for our discussions, whenever we refer to such letters like N, W, P, no, and U, in this case, you should have learned already that U is also reserved for a special kind of set. You should already know exactly what they refer to. In this case, N refers to the set of the natural numbers, and W the set of the whole numbers. Okay? Those 2 letters will not be used for any other sets, at least for our purpose. Okay? Whenever you see the letters N, W, P, U, they refer to very specific sets. So in this case, malinaw dapat, no? Na tinutukoy dito na all elements of the naturals are also elements of the whole numbers. Okay? And we know that is true. All natural numbers are whole numbers. Okay? So our answer here should be true. Right. Next, tayo sa sunod. If A is a proper subset of B, then A has more elements than B. Remember when we talked about proper subsets, no, we mean that if A is a proper subset of B, then all elements of A must also be elements of B, pero, may pero yan, ano, pag proper subsets. There must be at least one element in B that is not in A. Okay? In other words, parang kumuha ka ng konti, no? Kumuha ka ng several, kumuha ka ng isang grupo ng elements from, say, set B, put it in set A, but when you took some elements of B, you left at least one element behind. Yeah, that makes A proper subset of B. And in that case, if A, again, we go back to the question, if A is a proper subset of B, then A daw has more elements than B. That is false. Yeah, because proper subsets of a given set, say, let's say that A is a proper subset of B, A will always have fewer elements than B. Kasi nga, all elements of A, for A to be a proper subset of B, ano? All elements in A must also be found in B, but there must be at least one element in B that cannot be found in A. Okay? So, false ang sagot dyan. Next, given the sets below, U, J, K, L, M, O, sabi rito, K, remember, this is also the symbol for proper subset. K daw is a proper subset of U. Remember, U, dinefine na natin yan sa ating asynchronous materials. We refer to U as, or we use U to mean the universal set. And when we talk about the universal set, remember, we are talking about the set that contains all elements under consideration. We cannot just say, it contains all elements randomly. Hindi pwedeng ganun. There has to be some condition still for what qualifies to be part of the universal set. So it's talking about everything we are considering. Much like in the video, if you noticed, if you remember, rather, If you go to, say, a sandwich stand, no, and the guy at the counter asks you, okay, what's your order? And you say, maybe I'd like a cheeseburger. And then the guy asks you, oh, what would you like me to put in it? And then you say, everything, put everything in it. Okay? Hindi niya pwedeng lagyan niya ng tsinelas. Hindi niya pwedeng lagyan niya ng bubog. Hindi niya pwedeng lagyan ng plastic, no? Kung ano pa man. Kasi when you are talking about a sandwich, then everything still means something. It cannot mean literally everything. You're talking about a certain set of elements in the context of that sandwich. Yeah, so it can't be absolutely anything. Everything under consideration. So maybe you're talking about the condiments, ketchup, mayo, mustard, and maybe you're talking about other stuff you put in it, like lettuce and tomatoes and pickles or whatever. Okay? So even if you talk about the universal set containing all elements, it still has to be within a certain limited context. No? Depende na lang sa problem, depende sa given information. Like this one, the universal set U contains the letters H-O-N-E-S-T-Y. Not all letters in the alphabet. Okay? Just those. Now, go back to the question. K ba? Is it a proper subset of U? Where's K? Right here. Ang laman niya ay ang letters na S-T-O-N-E. So, para maging proper subset si K ni U, dapat lahat ng elements ni K, makikita ko kay U, pero there has to be at least one element in U that I cannot locate in K. Okay? Si S. Uy, nandito siya, si S. T, nandito rin. O, nandun din. N, nandun din. E ay nandun din. So, all elements in K are in U. But we see that there are two. No? That satisfies the at least one requirement. There are two elements in U that are not in K, which makes K, in fact, a proper subset of U. So, that statement is true. Okay? Now, let's go to the next one. Given the sets, still the same sets, ano? O daw, this one, O, is a subset of J. Remember, pag subset naman, hindi mo kailangan yung condition na there has to be at least one element in the second set that is not found in the first. No, hindi kailangan yun. Basta for O to be a subset of J, all elements in O must be found in J. Yun lang yung requirement. Okay? Now, let's look at the elements in O and J. No? H, nandin ba yan kay J? Immediately we see, nako, wala ang H kay J. So immediately we know that since there is one element in O that is not in J, then O cannot be a subset of J. Now, this statement is false. Had it been the other way around, had it said J is a subset of O, look at this. So, O is in the element O is in the set uppercase O, right there. N is there also. E is there also. Then had it been this statement, J is a subset of O, then that would have been a true statement. Okay? Diba? Dali lang. Next. Yan. Equal sets are always equivalent sets. Remember, pag sinabi natin equal sets, these are two sets or more sets that have exactly the same elements. Parehong-pareho. Okay? At parang nabanggit ito sa material din, no? Equal sets, kung parehong-pareho kayo ng laman, ibig sabihin, pareho din kayo ng bilang ng laman. And that's yung bilang ng laman. Remember, that is pertinent to equivalent sets. When we say sets are equivalent, they have the same cardinality. In other words, they have the same number of elements, regardless of what kind of elements they have. We're talking about the cardinality here. Okay? Kung yung isang set may laman na 5 elements, let's say puro letters, and another set, say, also has 5 elements pero puro pangalan ng mga ulam. Okay? Despite having totally different kinds of elements, they have exactly the same number of elements, which will make them equivalent. So, in our case, in this statement, no, when you have equal sets, since parehong-pareho sila ng laman, they must also have the same number of elements. So yes, this statement is true. Equal sets are always equivalent sets. Okay? Next. If A is the null set, A is the null set, then A has no subsets. Remember, by definition, the null set is a subset of any set, even of itself. Okay? Again, even of itself. In other words, we can say that the null set is a subset of the null set. That's a true statement. True yan, ha? Remember, the null set is a subset of any set including itself. Which means, this statement, wala daw subset ang A dahil empty siya, mali yan. Meron siyang isang subset. Ito, sarili niya. Okay? Next, all sets have proper subsets. Remember kanina, pinag-usapan natin very quickly yung proper subsets. Lahat daw ba ng sets ay may proper subsets? For any set to have a proper subset, remember, such a proper subset must have fewer elements than your original set. You might think at the beginning, parang totoo naman. Pwede naman lahat, bawasan mo lang ng at least isa. Proper subset na yon. But remember, there is such a set na you cannot go one element less. Diba? What is that set? Good. Ito, yung null set. You cannot go one element lower than the number of elements in a null set because you have no elements in a null set. No? So, not all sets have proper subsets. In fact, the null set is the only set without a proper subset. Siya lang yung nag-iisa. All other sets, kahit isang a unit set or a singleton set, yan, may proper subset pa rin yan. So, in this case, all sets have proper subsets is false. The exception is the null set. Ito na naman, null set na naman. The null set is a subset of all sets. I mentioned that a while ago. By definition, that is a true statement. Right? Last two. Ito. Given the sets below, M, remember the symbol? That's the symbol for equivalence. M is equivalent to J. Remember, pag sinabi equivalent, dapat daw parehong-pareho sila ng bilang ng elements. M, ilan bang bilang ng elements ng M? 1, 2, 3, 4. N-E-S-T. How about J? O-N-E. Naku, kapos ng isa. Para maging equivalent yan, dapat 4 and 4 o kaya 3 and 3. Which makes this statement false. And finally, given the sets below, same sets, K is equal to L. Remember, K, for that to be equal to L, they must have exactly the same elements. K is here, L is here. Stone, notes. Sir, parang iba. Remember from the first material, sabi natin, the order by which the elements of a set are written is irrelevant. Okay, it's the same set. So even if I write this as stone, S-T-O-N-E, or N-O-T-E-S, notes, or even tones, T-O-N-E-S, it would still be the same set. So yes, K and L are in fact equal. That is a true statement. Diba? Sobrang dali. Okay, yung ating mga set relationships. Right? Now, again, quick rundown of our set relations before we do our exercises. Again, pag sinabi subset, given for example, these two sets, A and B, para maging subset ka, remember, by definition, let's say I want A. I want to say that A is a subset of B. Now, is that true? For that to be true, I need to find all elements in A in B. No? Lahat dapat ng na kay A, makikita ko kay B. Now, if we look at these sets, mukha naman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hanggang 10 ang B. Si A, 2, 6, 7, and 8. So yes, all of these elements in A can be found in set B. Therefore, I can say, sabi ko nga kanina, that A is a subset of B. Okay? I cannot say it the other way. I cannot say B is a subset of A because there are some elements of B that cannot be found in A. Right? Now, however, I can also say, by definition, remember, any set is a subset of itself. Tandaan niya na, by definition, any set is a subset of itself. So to say that A is a subset of A is also true. That's always true. B is a subset of B, that's also true. Balikan din natin, sinabi natin about the null set. Sabi natin, the null set is a subset of any set, including itself. Diba? So just by playing around with the relationship of being subsets, we can mention a lot of true statements like these on the screen. Okay? Proper subsets, nabanggit ko na rin kanina. for, let's say, these two sets, A and B. If we want to say that A is a subset of B, that can only be true if it meets two conditions. Yeah? Condition number one, it has to be a subset first. So we go back to the definition of a subset. All elements in A must also be in B. Tama naman, may 5 dito. Naka-ellipsis nga lang, pero nandyan yan. Si 9, nandito rin si 9. Si 10, nandito rin. No? So, nasatisfy mo na yung first condition. A is a subset of B. But for it to be a proper subset, there must be at least, one element in B that I should not be able to find in A. And yes, I can pinpoint 1 immediately. Ito, si 1. Na kay B, pero wala kay A. Si 5, nandyan yan, somewhere. Si 9, nandito. Si 10, nandun. Pero again, merong at least one element in B that I cannot find in A. And because of that, I can say that A is a proper subset of B. Okay? Easy lang, di ba? The universal set, mentioned that a while ago. No? We are talking about a set that contains everything, all elements, pero under consideration. Lahat ng pinag-uusapan natin. No, it can range from tulad nga kanina, no, inclusions in a sandwich, clusters in the AJHS, no, stuff like that. When in this case, our universal set is written in set builder form. Let's say that U is the set containing all X, such that X is a whole number, and those whole numbers, X, no, that is less than 50. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung numbers sa pinag-usapan natin, hindi niya laman lahat ng maisip natin na numbers. No. It's just, the universal set here contains just the whole numbers that are less than 50. Tama? Yun lang yun. Hindi pwedeng lahat ng numbers. And say, we have another set, A, containing the elements 10, 20, 30, and 40. Now, since, notice this, no, we can locate 10 in the universal set, 20, 30, and 40 also in the universal set. We can also say here, babalikan din natin yung isa nating set relation kanina, no? We can say that that set is a subset of the universe. And so is B. If you notice, no? 1, 2, 3, 4 ang laman ni B. Nandun din yan kay U. Tama? Kasi laman ni U, lahat ng whole numbers less than 50. Itong kay B, 1, 2, 3, 4, those are whole numbers less than 50 also. So we can say A is if you want to be more specific, A is a proper subset of U. And so is B. B is also a proper subset of U. Okay? Importante yun yung pagtanda doon sa universal set. Right. Meron tayong mga worksheet items tungkol dyan. Makipagawa sa inyo later. Equal sets. Sabi natin, when sets are equal, they must have exactly the same elements. So let's say we have A, the set A containing the letters in the word Ateneo, and B is the set containing the letters in the word annotate. Parang magkaibang words eh. Pero you come to think of it, if you write both sets in roster form, A, I will write as, lumabas to sa previous, diba? Entry ticket. This should be A, T, E, N, O. Yan lang. Ateno. Sir, ba't hindi Ateneo? Kasi, remember, elements are distinct. You do not write an element more than once in roster form. So, siya lang din yan. Okay? And B, if I list down the letters, mayroon din siyang A, A. Meron siyang N. Kaya dalawa N niya. But isa lang bilang natin dyan. O, nandun din siya. T, nandun din siya. Nabilang ko na yung A kanina. Nabilang ko na yung T. So, E na lang yung huli. And if you notice, A is present here, T is present here, E, N, and O. Parehong-pareho sila ng laman pala. That tells us that despite looking different, no, these two sets pala are equal. A is equal to B. Okay? Very easy. Ano pa? Equivalent sets. Yan, sabi natin, pag ang sets ay equivalent, pareho sila ng bilang. Pareho sila ng cardinality. No? So, let's say we have sets A and B here. The letters in the word Utah, and B is the set containing the letters in the word Mississippi. No? Now, if you look at set A, and if we recall also our previous lesson, And when we write this notation, remember, what does that mean again? Correct. Ang ibig sabihin nito, we're looking for the cardinality of A. Again, this notation is read as the cardinality of A. In other words, we're talking about the number of elements of A. Yeah? And when we do that, if we are concerned with the cardinality of A, this is a number, by the way. This notation is a number. The cardinality of A is how many elements are there in A? Utah. Letters in the word Utah. U, T, A, and H. That is 4. Correct? How about the cardinality of B? Ilan ba letters sa word na Mississippi? Sir, ang dami. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 nga ba? Parang mali spelling ko ng Mississippi. Sorry Parang naburo ko yata. Dalawa yata pa itong P ng Mississippi. Kasi that 11 yan. Yeah. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Oh, mali spelling ni Sir ng Mississippi. There has to be another P there. Sorry for that typo. But in any case, point is, how many elements does the set B have? M is one unique element. I is another unique element. So is S, that's another unique element. And P, itong nawawalang P dun, is also a unique element. So although there are multiple repetitions of some elements, we only should count them as one. Technically, ang letters lang sa Mississippi ay M, I, S, and P. Na ulit-ulit lang. So M, I, S, and P, 4 yan. In other words, so we notice, sir, no? Pareho sila ng cardinality. They both have 4 elements. In other words, we can say that A is equivalent to B. No? Kasi pareho silang mayroong 4 elements. Okay? Wrong spelling, Mississippi. O yan ha. Corrected natin. Right. Okay, let's do some practice items here. Okay, supply the set relation symbol that will make the statement true. Okay? Okay, pause muna ang video, sagutan muna, and then once you're done, hit play, and then check whether your answers are correct. Right. If you hit play, dapat meron ka ng 4 answers for these 4 practice items. Let's take number 1. ABC, the set containing ABC, blank, the set containing the letters in the word cabbage. Maybe it will help you if you write the second set in roster form. Kasi naka-roster form yung una eh. Ano-ano nga ba ang letters sa salitang cabbage? We see here C, right there. Wala namang ibang C dyan. A, right there. Tanggalin natin. I see B also. A, I already counted that. I see G, right there. And E. So, ito ang mga letters sa salitang cabbage. I have 5 elements. Okay? C, A, B, G, E. Now, go back. The first set, A, B, C. So, ano lalagay ko dito? Actually, you can have 2 answers. But one is better if you want to be more specific. The first answer would be to say that since I find A in the first and C it in the second, B in the first, find it in the second, C in the first, I also see it in the second. I can say that since all elements in the first are in the second, I can say that the first is a subset of the second set. Yeah? That is a correct answer. However, if you want to be more specific, a better answer, if you will, would be to say that the first set is a proper subset of the second. Bakit? Kasi merong at least one element sa second set na wala sa first. Yeah? Specifically, G and E. Nasa second set pero wala sa first. That makes the first set a proper subset of the second. Okay? So, ito, dalawang sagot natin pwede dyan. Kung anliman dyan ang sagot nyo, tama ka. Okay? Now, next. The factors of 5 and the letters in the word bababa. Okay. O, ano ba factors ng 5? Recall yung factors, diba? These are numbers that can equally divide another number. So, what are those? No, ano nga ba ang factors ng 5? If we write that, no? In roster form, the factors of 5 are only 1 and 5. Nothing else. 5, remember, after all, is a prime number. So, its only factors are 1 in itself. Okay? And then the letters in the word bababa. Sulat natin, roster form if you want. Bababa. Sir, parang 2 letra lang nakita ko dyan. Si A at si B. Right. Eh, ano namang relationship nitong numbers na to sa letters na to, sir? What do I write on the blank? Maybe it's not the kind of elements that we're concerned here, but instead, the number of elements. Look, the first set has 2 elements, 1 and 5. The second has 2 elements also, A and B. Remember, kapag pareho ang dalawang set ng bilang ng elements, those two sets are equivalent. And we write that set in between. Those two are equivalent sets. Okay? Next, the prime factors of 24 blank the prime factors of 54. O, para may natin, para hindi tayo magkamali. Let's first list the factors muna of 24. Huwag muna yung prime. Later, maybe we can eliminate the non-prime factors of 24. Ano nga yung factors ng 24? Diba, from the previous video, tinuro ko sa inyo, when you're listing factors, it helps that you start with 1 and you end with that number itself. Then you work your way inside. Papasok. Para wala ka nalilimutan, no? I go 2 because 24 is divisible by 2. Now, anong partner ni 2 to give a product of 24? That's 12. Diba? I go after 2, that's 3. Anong partner ni 3? That's 8. Okay? After 3, I go 4. Sinong partner ni 4? Si 6. O diba, wala ka nalimutan. How about the factors of 54? No? So, by that same token, lista natin. Sino ba factors of 54? Si 1. Si 54. Si 2 ba pwede? Pwede. 2. Ano ang partner ni 2? 27. Okay? Si 3 ba pwede? Ay, sinulat ko na eh. So, pwede. Pwede si 3, ano? Ano ang partner ni 3? Division technique, no? Kung nalilito kayo, if you're dividing 54 by 3, kung medyo nakakalito, this is one technique. You know that a number, an easy number that can be divided by 3, that is part of 54, no? Is 30. O, di ba? O, kung kumuha ka na ng 30 from 54, ano matitira mo? If you take away 30 from 54, you have 24. O, di ba? And now, we can imagine, sir, it's easier to divide 30 by 3. You get 10. If I divide it by 3, I get 10. And if I divide 24 by 3, I get what? 8. Itong dalawang to, look, pag inad mo, what do you get? 18. O, di ba? So, 54 divided by 3 is 18. So, siya yung partner niyan. 18. Si 4 ba pwede? Hindi pwede si 4. Ba? Kasi pag tinanggal mo yung 4 dito, hindi naman divisible ang 50 by 4. So, no, not 4. Not 5 also. How about 6? Yeah, we know that 6 is a factor of 54, no? And 54 divided by 6 gives me 9, no? 7 hindi na, 8 hindi na. So, yan lang sila. So, again, no, notice, magkakapartner yan, no? 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18, 6 and 9. Diba? Now, let's encircle stage 2. Sabi kasi prime factors eh. Identify lang natin kung sino yung prime factors ni 24. Burahin natin yung mga hindi prime. 1 is not prime. 2 is prime, check. 3 is prime, check. 4, no. 6, no. 8, 12, 24, no. So, ang prime factors ng prime 24 are 2 and 3. O, diba? Eh, sino si 54? Prime factors. 1, no. 2 and 3, yes. 6, no. 9, 18, 27, 54, no. So, 2 and 3 lang din pala ang prime factors ng 54. So, what do we put on the blank? They have exactly the same elements, so I can write equal. The equal sign, rather. No? Because these two are equal sets. Now, technically, you can still write this symbol, subset, because the first set containing 2 and 3 is a subset of the same set, 2 and 3. And, sabi nga natin, any set is a subset of itself. And since they are the exact same sets, no, that set is a subset of itself. So either one would be technically correct, and they both make the statement true. Okay? And finally, we have the factors of 3, blank, the factors of 27. Sino ba yung factors ni 3? 1, 3. Tama? Sino ba yung factors 27? Ulit, medyo malaki na yan, ano? Pwede tayo mag-start with 1, end with 27. Okay? Then, pasok. 2, nope, not a factor. 3, yes. Factor 27 yan. Sino kasunod? 9. Okay? Meron pa bang iba? 3, 6, nope. 4, no. 5, no. 6, wala na. Ito lang sila, 4. Okay? Now, ano makikita natin dito? 1, 3 ang elements ng first set. 1, 3, 9, 27 ang elements ng pangalawa. Again, you can, if you want, write this symbol. That would still be correct. First is the subset of the second. Or if you want to be more specific about it, you can write the symbol for the proper subset. Because all elements in the first can be found in the second, but there is at least one element. In fact, there are 2 elements in the second that cannot be found in the first. Okay? So kung yan ang iyong mga sagot, we are on the same page. Okay? You're doing great so far. Ibig sabihin, naiintindihan mo pa yung mga lessons natin. Okay? Right. So now, what do we have left to do? Take FA2B. Marami pang oras. Bago magtapos ang session, you can begin answering your G-form, FA2B. Okay? Or you can ask your teacher. Kung may hindi ka pa naintindihan dito sa video na to, hindi ka naintindihan sa lesson, you can consult. And before the next math session, you're expected to download and study the asynchronous materials. PowerPoint uli yan, o kakamali. O may parang discovery sheet. Yeah? And then you take the entry ticket FA3A. Alright? Thank you.